spins because it must spin that way. It's like that's how it always winds down in the route that it runs, in the bend that it takes, the course that repeats. That's the reason it shakes. That's the reason it shakes. To shake that way. It flows. It falls because it's formed. It's this. It's that. Because it must be. That's the loop. That's the loop. That's the move. That's the truth. Because it has to be. Because it has to be. That's why it is. Or perhaps it's just that way, but it stayed that way because it didn't become that shape. That's the shape. That's the way. That's the way it lands. That's the way it lands. Flow becomes habit. Habit becomes law. Law becomes loop. And a loop is a law. But I've had too much of you. I'm a scratching your tape, a kick in your flow. I'm a fall in your rhythm, the kick in your show. Show, the kick in your show. That's the pattern. That's the pulse. That's the frame. That's the cause. That's the loop. That's the glitch. That's the